Hello, we're live. Welcome to Dive into World Building. And today we are talking about things that fly that are not birds. And
a demonstration.
I'm running behind on it's a flying cat.
So I always think it's a bird, it's a plane, it's a frog. A frog? Not bird, not plane, or even frog. Just little old me underdog.
Yeah. So anyway, this I'm hoping that I can kind of fold the birds and the non-birds into one big report because I'm running behind and working and not having a lot of time. So anyway, we'll see how we go on that.
Confused.
But regardless, hi, Kat.
Hi, Juliet. I came in late and all I heard was bird, plane, frog, and I'm normally really quick on the uptake, and wow, okay.
So today we're talking about things that fly that are not birds.
But do frogs fly?
Do they, Cliff?
That is, according to a lady on the street in the opening sequence of Underdog, yes. But all the other people in the sequence are confused and look at her like she's crazy.
Okay, it was a nerdy reference I missed, and yay, you mentioned Underdog. Okay,
yes.
things that fly.
Okay.
Got it.
We started like 30 seconds before that, so it was.
Yeah, no, you haven't missed anything, Kat.
I think there might be a gliding frog.
Well, so yeah, so I think
hard enough, it flies.
I think we can allow flying and gliding.
Or gliding leaf frogs.
Yeah. Now I want to believe, even though I don't think it's actually true, that there's a flying of every kind of creature, like mammals and reptiles and amphibians, and so now I'm thinking about flying mollusks and
fly.
The flying squid are the worst. They come right out at you, and it's not pretty.
So in my second science fiction novel, I have a world in which birds never evolve. So bats take all the ecological niches that birds did. And so you could have a world in which frogs take all the ecological niches that birds and maybe other things do too. So you would have frogs that are like storks, which is a really interesting inversion of the usual ecological relationship. And you could have flying vulture frogs and song frogs and
flying vampire frogs.
Yeah, right. Yeah. You can do wonderful things with that.
Wow, that sounds really
giant
fun.
Frog cassowaries. Wait, no, they don't fly.
Yeah, ostrich frogs.
Ostrich.
And then there's the herds of frogs on the plains, running across hopping across the steppes. The fur frogs, yes, the mammoth frogs.
Well, we did during our last discussion. I believe we talked about how giant insects are totally a doable thing. You just have to have more oxygen in the atmosphere. So,
well, we need more moisture out in order to have global frogs, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you'd have to figure out how they could maintain the moisture in their skin.
Wait. If we include frogs and toads as a category, I think we're okay.
No, true.
Then we have.
Toads are a little bit.
Oh no! Now, Cliff. Now we really have a nightmare horror world about like giant flying, rampaging cane toads.
Well, the dread saber-toothed
I'm scared.
toads are the worst because they hide in the trees and they leap on you. Yeah.
Okay,
I'm a Californian and I keep maintaining that Australia is not as scary as California because Australia's stuff won't actually eat you; it'll just kill you.
That's pretty scary.
So insects fly a lot.
Californians can be eaten.
If I'm dead, I don't care either way.
Not everything kills you before it eats you.
Actually, okay, so I'm going to bring up A Bug's Life.
Sorry. Yeah.
Because actually one of the things I really liked was that the girl ants would fly.
Yes.
And I thought that was an interesting little world building tidbit.
And Dark Crystal too. The girls of whatever species. Well, I don't have wings. Well, you're a boy. Yeah.
Yes. So the girl Gelflings.
Gelflings. That's it. Yes.
They had wings, and the boys did not. Which at the time I was like, well, of course, you know, because it was one of my earliest feminist moments. But but that could very well have come from ants as a concept, right?
Sure.
I mean,
we could do a whole episode on the world building of A Bug's Life.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed you could. But so you have flying ants. You have, I mean, things like that you don't think about. Flying things. You think of birds first, I think, but then people don't usually think about things like termites.
You do if you're a homeowner.
Yeah, well, when I see them flying around my house, darn it, I do think about them.
One of the major tourist attractions of Austin, Texas, at least as far as I'm concerned, is the twilight flight of the bats from
Congress
under
Street
a bridge. It is really gorgeous and a little disconcerting and auditorily fascinating because you actually can hear them flying and then you hear them squeaking as well.
It's a thing.
Also, anything that eats mosquitoes is my friend.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially in Texas, places like that, lots of mosquitoes. I'd just like to, while we're having a momentary pause, confess my deep and abiding love for pteranodons and pterodactyls.
Yeah.
I don't have really a subject here. I just wanted to say that.
You know what? We can always reach for the dinosaurs. That works out.
I'm gonna put in a plug for. I think there need to be more movies like Mothra.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, that's funny you mentioned that. I was just thinking about that the other day because I was like looking at various Godzilla movies and which ones I could maybe show the twins. And that's the top of my list. Is probably the safest one to show the twins. It's got the two little fairy girls. There's not much. IMDb says there's not much real violence in the 1960s version.
Yeah.
I don't know that I've ever seen it entire. I think I've mostly seen clips.
Oh, as a kid, you're talking to a serious Godzilla fan here. So I followed. That's actually one of the few monsters that's consistent. Mothra dies, spoiler, and then has two eggs that hatch into a larval stage Mothras, and those two proceed in the subsequent movies. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
Like there's actual movie-to-movie consistency with only that monster. Like Godzilla.
Well, I want to go back to your dinosaur place and mention Quetzalcoatlus.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
There has been a photograph going around of a model of Quetzalcoatlus, and it was enormous.
Yeah.
Cool.
I mean,
yeah, it was 60 feet or something. Wingspan.
Something like that.
That's not an animal. That's a spruce goose.
It was huge. It was huge. This thing was enormous. Let me see if I can find this picture.
Basically, it's the pterosaur answer to a rock. You know, ROC, the mythical.
Give me a minute, but I got this.
Not the country. No, didn't fly over Iraq and attack insurgents. No.
No, I confess that I went to the ex-wrestler.
Oh.
I
would pay so much money to watch a movie with him on the back of a Quetzalcoatlus thing.
Okay, well,
flying around on a pterosaur
with
Dwayne the Rock. Yeah, that would be awesome.
I can't find that particular photo that I was thinking of, but this one's pretty good.
Wikipedia's pictures are pretty good.
Let me see if I can screen share it with you guys.
It would compare pretty well to the size of my entire house. That was a big thing.
I'm finding some other names that I don't know.
It's
about as dark as
really tall. But what's interesting is that it also isn't just huge; it's also incredibly light.
Yeah.
So, I just want to say that woman in the picture is really nonchalant, given that she's standing next to one of those giraffes. She's like, It's a Thursday, typical Thursday. That's what happens.
Well, I mean, you just get one of those when it's little, and it's like a baby elephant.
So if you look, they're showing it being basically the height of a giraffe, and that isn't even looking at the wingspan, right?
Right,
but
which is wider.
It's about 130 pounds.
Yeah.
So that gives you kind of an idea of, if one of us wanted to be able to fly, we would have to develop quite an astonishing wingspan, at least under current environmental conditions.
Sure.
Marianne Mohanraj has written some stories about genetically engineered humans who can fly, and she talks about, just sort of very back of the envelope world building. But I'm really thinking about, what does a flying human look like? And exactly how different are they than us terrestrial sorts? And
You'd
then
have
I
to have a horrifically large keel bone.
The women of Kleenex issues. Never mind.
Is the keel bone like the sternum, Che?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The keel projects outward, and the flight muscles connect to it, and you would have to have. There are actually, people have broken down what actual flying humans would look like before, and you would need, I forgot the actual footage, but you would need you'd have this huge projecting chest to accommodate the flight muscles required. You would also sacrifice your arms, the usability of your arms in order to do that. Oh my god. Okay, there was kind of Elf Quest had a flying elf.
Wait, I didn't know that there's a legend about a Chicago flying humanoid.
Tell us about it, Kat.
According to rare.chicago, I'm reading this webpage because I was looking to see if I could find a link to a page for flying humans, and a mysterious creature is flying around Chicago. At least that's what investigators at the Singular Fortean Society are claiming. And this isn't the first time the humanoid being was spotted. According to a timeline created by the organization, the Chicago flying humanoid sightings are really catching air around the Windy City, the most recent of which was on July 24th, I don't know what year, outside the Willis Sears Tower. Oh, nice way to split the difference, guys. For those of you who don't know, the Willis Tower is the new name of the thing that everybody else calls the Sears. However, with 17 total sightings this year alone, no video or pictures have surfaced yet. Catalog website describes the flying humanoid as bat-like, suspicious winged entity with glowing red eyes, dark black shadow wings, and among other mythical details. Yeah, okay.
Sure.
Yeah, it's right up there with Bigfoot with wings. So I'm going to do the low-tech showing a picture here. This is, maybe it's super high-tech because I'm using my phone. That's a flyer on the planet Epona, which I mentioned one of the last weeks.
Right. That's the red thing on
yes,
that's the red blotchy
it doesn't have lungs. It has to keep flying to breathe. And it is the sentient species on that planet, which came out of a conference. And I put a link on the sidebar. Maybe that can go into the notes for the show. That was a very interesting example of world building, where they started with the solar system, and then they did the geology, and then they did the biology, and then they evolved the biology up to sentience based on those principles. And it was a team effort, so it was pretty good, And there's
those are interesting projects.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to get back to earthly things for a minute, because we haven't talked about I mentioned flying fish earlier. I mean, there are lots and lots of gliding things, even when you don't want to talk about things that are actually propelled in the air. So there are flying squirrels.
At the office?
There are gliding lizards.
Okay. I'll bring the letter.
Flying snakes are a legend, right?
Flying fish. That sort of thing.
So I have to be.
I think it's interesting, actually, that we can say that how things fly in different ways. Cat, you okay?
I always sneeze like this. I'm sorry. I had to decide between covering and muting.
Oh, that's fine. No problem. I just hope you're all right. There are
flying
people
snakes
around right now. So, Brian was not able to make it today, Brian Dalton, but he did say that I should mention, because it got mentioned last time, that penguins fly, but they don't fly in air.
Yes.
So,
like I mentioned,
because there are things that fly underwater.
Right.
Do cormorants fly underwater?
Not that I'm aware of.
We just dive.
They dive. They have very short wings, much like penguins. But I believe their main mode of thrust is their feet.
Okay.
I
think they're doing the same thing
they're
as
another web-footed. I think so, but I think we now have to go look up some video of cormorants.
Sorry, Kat?
As I think they're doing the same thing as ducks and pelicans.
Okay.
And some other things. I think that they are
paddle.
Sort of aiming from above the water and then going down. And
it's that sort of submarine thrust theory.
I think they're doing the submarine thrust thing.
Yeah.
So when I mentioned the other time that I had just gone to the San Francisco Zoo and seen the penguins, and when they were swimming / flying, it was very different than flying through air, because although they were using their wings to sort of guide and propel them, they're also moving kind of like squid or octopus, like they're kind of bullet shaped in the water.
Yes.
And it's all about the jet stream kind of, thing. So they're the ratio of lift, the importance of lift versus the importance of streamlined body is very different than an air-based bird or flying critter. And so if you're making a world with a dense atmosphere like Venus that isn't obviously quite as hot, or sulfuric acid, you would take that into account. The critter would be more, bullet shaped and more with tinier wings.
Yeah.
And if you're talking, we should also talk about, microgravity. People fly in microgravity, kind of. They jump like flying squirrels, and they leap from thing to thing. And so you could have, if you have things evolving in microgravity, in a sort of an environment where there's atmosphere but there's very little gravity, either fantasy or some kind of weird science fiction, that body shape and culture and of a sentience and everything would be very different.
Yeah. I think of that makes me think of our humans flying thing. Of Zilpha Keatley-Snyder's book, Below the Root. Are you guys familiar with that one?
Haven't read it, sorry.
No, that's okay. She has a whole series of books, and it basically is a far future human colony on a planet with lower gravity. But it's very interesting because the gravity is such that humans actually design clothes that will allow them to fly and to glide from tree to tree, and they live in the trees. They don't live on the surface, and there are a lot of extra interesting things going on. It's interesting because it's not. There's also sort of like humans have developed these sort of magical powers, psychic kind of powers, that have then gone into decline. Anyway, so it has a lot of interesting stuff going on. But the way that she imagined the humans flying was a very striking image. And I have met at least one other author who read this and was very struck by it, to the point of wanting to write something that involved flying humans, and using that as a sort of an inspiration.
As far as humans flying, if we're segueing, I note that I still want to do that sort of indoor skydiving thing, because that looks like fun. And then there are people using wingsuits, which seems completely barmy. And then there's things like Fran Wilde just wrote that whole series about people that can fly because of mechanical augment in her world.
And so I gotta mention the Hawkmen from Flash Gordon, because I love them so.
Yes.
But there is the genre of superheroes who fly, right? Like Wonder Woman, the latest Wonder Woman, and Superman and Supergirl, and they fly the way people fly in dreams, right? Which is you think about it, you just go, right? So telekinetic flight, and so that is a whole genre. Like, how do you? Like, you will believe a man can fly. How do you make that happen if you're writing, right? Like, how do you?
Is Superman actually flying, or is he doing really super augmented gliding?
So, originally he was jumping really far, and it sort of morphed into flying, and now he like flies in outer space, right? Like, he doesn't even need an atmosphere. He flies around, spins around the earth,
and can change time.
In Christopher Reeve's version, So yeah, he banks and things in the air.
Banks.
Right? And I mean, not at Luther Banks,
you're right.
I mean, like,
Now I want to talk about the aerodynamic qualities of his cane.
Yeah, right.
But, okay, yeah. We have Iron Man flying in the suit, and we have a bunch of suit flyers.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all I can think of right now. Sorry.
I mean, a lot of it is the telekinetic kind of flying, or extreme jumping.
Oh, that's what I was going to add.
Extreme jumping.
Douglas Adams. The trick to flying is to aim for the ground and miss.
Indeed.
And in fact, I used to tell the story of my car accident when I was 17, that I was doing really great flying until this terrible shrub reached up and grabbed me, which is why you can't trust the shrubbery.
I see.
Evil, vicious thing. Broke my pelvis. Quite unkind. But seriously, do we have any bat stories that aren't like Dracula stories? I want to read more bat stories.
We definitely need more bat stories.
Don't tell me I have to write them if I want to read them.
No, but we can all take your words to heart and go write bat stories.
Yay! Please write me bat stories. Also, mythologically, we like to make things fly. One of our ways of making things into mythical beings is to put wings on them. So, horses that fly, and I think we have flying rabbits and something. No, wait, jackalopes just have antlers. Why do I think they have wings? Maybe I want them to have wings.
But that would be delightful.
And like flying lions, we imagine flying lions. And
well, there are those, and there also are those bulls with wings.
Right.
Oh, the Middle Eastern things?
Yeah.
They're awesome.
They are amazing.
They have one at the Oriental Institute in Chicago.
I'll have to go look.
Yeah, it's one of the more striking things. There's the whole day at the Oriental Institute is a really good day if you live in Chicago.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of what else. I can't think of any flying dogs.
Underdog, hello.
Elephants? Oh, I'm sorry. No, I meant with wings.
Also Crypto, the dog from the planet Crypto.
But there is Quetzalcoatl.
Yeah.
Flying snake with wings.
And then can we say some things about Coco, or are we going to call that a spoiler right now?
I haven't seen it, but I don't worry about spoilers, honestly.
There are winged characters in Coco that are mythological, and they're wonderful.
Oh, cool.
And their flight is really a gorgeous part of the story.
She liked the flying things in Cupboard. This is one of my daughters, by the way.
I did too. Hi.
Hi.
You see, lots of you. There's Juliet. There's Deborah. There's some people you don't know. Yeah, it's Deborah. You know Deborah.
Yeah. Hi.
And then there are those times when we take our children and we fling them towards the ceiling.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I've written an Icarus story.
Oh, an Icarus story. That's a good one to bring in.
Yeah.
You want to tell us about it, Kat?
Well, because it's me, it's a social justice aware retold myth about but it's a mother in mourning because her kid really wanted to be one of the cool kids and never asked her for the wings and tried to build his own. And but it's basically thinking about the topic of how strong that desire to fly is and how perilous it is.
Cool. Well, I mean, I think that wings are hugely symbolic for people. Right? And I'm glad you brought that up. Because there is that...
We talk about broken wings and, freedom.
Yeah. Wings is freedom. You don't see a lot of...
Yeah, I think we have...
Sorry, creatures with insect wings added to make them mythological.
Fairies!
Ah, yes. There we go.
Have
Fairies.
Butterfly wings.
Definitely.
Well, there's the Bugaloos, right? Or the Sid and Marty Krofft flying teenagers.
Wow, that was I think there's also once again going back to the Bug's Life, like the ladybug character, and I saw a huge proliferation of ladybug winged little kids because they're just so cool looking.
Yeah.
So I mostly don't see insect wings being put on humans or others in story unless it's fairy, but it's definitely a very popular costuming thing.
Well, fairies, yeah, I mean, obviously fairies are their own whole category. Where my brain was when I said that we didn't put insect wings on things was that we don't typically tend to put insect wings on, say, bulls or
we tend to put swan's wings or eagle's wings on things.
Oh, that's
sort
right.
Of this majestic thing.
Yeah.
But the other thing I find fascinating is, and I'm sorry, we're going back to birds, but I had never seen a peacock in flight until suddenly I saw videos of peacocks in flight. They're kind of terrifying. It's huge and like it's kind of like Scarlett O'Hara took to the air in one of her long dresses.
Yeah.
These long trains. It doesn't look plausible that anything looks like that would actually fly, but they do.
Yeah.
I mean, not long distances, but certainly enough to glide on you and scare the bejeebers out of you.
Yeah, they can go far enough because I once had a peacock on my back deck and I was like, now what do I do? Because I didn't know how. I mean, the idea that it might fly effectively was so far from my mind that when it appeared on my back deck, I was like, I don't know how this thing arrived here and I don't know how to get it to leave.
It's enormous and terrifying, so please make it. Yeah.
I know. How to get rid of unwanted peacocks. You'd think they would.
Yeah.
So we should also mention flying things that are kind of scary. Seraphim and cherubim and other kinds of angels. Sometimes they're
cockroaches.
Sometimes they're depicted as just wings and fire. Or
right.
There's also the Balrog in The Lord of the Rings.
True.
Does it have wings? Does it not have wings?
Whether or not it has wings, it can fly. So depending on how you look at it. It seems like Tolkien implies there's wings. The Peter Jackson one, of course, does have wings, but
Well, so it's actually kind of interesting because we tend to put swan's wings and eagle's wings on things that we want to think of as beautiful and good and flying.
Bat wings.
And then bat wings always go on the bad things, right? So the dragons are the ones that get the bat wings, and the Balrogs get the bat wings and stuff like that.
In Western culture, yes.
Quetzalcoatlus get feather wings.
They do.
And I'm not sure that I'm now trying to remember if Kirin or Lung, if dragons get wings. I don't think East Asian dragons and Kirin get wings, but it would not be out of character for them to have wings.
So
I'm only
did some research in that.
from the beer label, and it has kind of like little feathery sort of embellishments, but I wouldn't call them wings.
I now have to look up the beer label. Okay.
Well,
it also has a handlebar mustache, which is like the founder of the Kirin Beer Company.
Yes, apparently.
So I did, in college I did a Chinese dragon design for a T-shirt and a piece. I did a Chinese dragon design for a T-shirt. I did a lot of research on the symbolic parts. Like, I wanted to know all the parts and the ages, and so I could pick an age and all that. And it is described as having wings, the kind of branchy things that come out of the shoulders of the back and front legs, were in the reference materials I was looking at, were referred to as wings in English. So that they don't look like wings to us, but that was the fourth and final stage of the life cycle, right? Like different things were, like the beard was added at one stage, and the wings were added at one stage. And I mean, they start off as carp, right? And they kind of go from there. And so I was depicting basically an ancient sky dragon, which was blue and had a certain number of claws. I think four claws per paw, four fingers on each claw, and it had wings because it was ancient. So that was at least the research I got at the University of Chicago in their library at the time, before the internet was a thing for research the way it is now.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Oh, I see. Yes, I never thought of those as wings. I just thought of those as really freaky body ornaments.
Right, and so did I when I started, looking in these books. Yeah, the things that are like, they kind of branch to 2 or 3 long. I mean, they
always look to me almost like flames coming off of the.
Yeah. The textbooks, the reference books I was using describe them as well.
Huh.
Taking a leaf from Cliff's really low tech.
Now, if only you could pour beer through the screen and we could all have some, that would be, ideal.
First, I have to find some gluten-free equivalent, or I can't bring it to share, right?
Oh, well. There's wine.
It's okay, Cliff. I'll have to come to the Bay Area and we'll split a drink sometime.
Okay. It's a date.
Yay. Yeah, flying things. I'm really fascinated, though, that we have this Western separation of fluffy equals good and leathery equals bad.
Yeah.
It's really odd. I'm not sure why we're supposed to be terrified of bats, but maybe I just haven't encountered them in the right spaces.
You have to go to Transylvania.
Oh, I love bats. I think they're magical.
Well, okay, I'll tell a bat story. Since Kat really wanted a bat story.
Please.
So my parents went to France and they were staying in a home with some folks in, I believe it was in Normandy. Could have been Brittany though. Anyway, so so they were a little bit baffled because there were no screens on the windows, and there were mosquitoes around, and they were like, okay. So basically they just steeled themselves to spend the night being very, very warm in their room with the windows shut. And then shortly after they had gone to bed, they woke up because there was something banging around the room. And
had they trapped their pet bat?
And in fact, it lived in the room in which they were staying. And
was there no guano trail?
Apparently not.
Was the mosquito system was a bat?
But yes, so this home would keep the windows open at night, and so they had this bat that was nesting somewhere in the room where my parents were staying, and so of course they opened up the windows to let the bat out, but thereafter they had to entrust their mosquito safety to this bat, and apparently it worked out well. But
that's awesome.
But yes, they were very surprised when they discovered there was a bat in their room.
It would seem that the innkeepers were remiss in not mentioning this to your parents.
It's not clear to me. It's not clear to me whether they knew. Yeah, well, I mean,
or maybe there was a language barrier and they just figured that the actual lived experience would be easier. I don't know.
I really don't know. My
on the bat.
French, but
poor bat.
The poor bat, right? I kind of feel for the bat, right? I'm like, wait, I can't get out.
Wait, did gremlins fly?
No, but they take apart airplanes. That's what they're from, right? They're from
right. Yeah. No, I meant the Spielberg's Gremlins. But
Harry Potter flew. But I have no idea what those were based on.
Oh, things they didn't fly that aren't. Were we actually only talking about living things? Should we talk about brooms? I think we need to talk about this living things.
We should talk about brooms, definitely.
Yes, absolutely. Quidditch. We haven't mentioned Quidditch.
Well, so that
I want to know why canonically it's brooms, because I was just watching a video of somebody who was dressed up as a Harry Potter character because this class, elementary school teacher or something, whose class gave him the color vision sunglasses, and they dressed him up as a Quidditch player, and they put a broom between his legs, and I sat there looking at that going, my, that looks very non-kid rated. And I want to know why brooms are the canonical flying thingy. I don't get it.
Well,
carpets seem much more comfortable, don't they?
I don't have an immediate answer for you, but I do have some speculation because they're general brooms. Flying on brooms is generally something we associate with witches, and
right,
witches.
I think what I'm asking is, why do witches fly on brooms?
Well, because I don't think they fly on brooms because of brooms. I don't think there's something inherently flying about brooms. I think there's something inherently flying about witches. And because they're women, they might be carrying brooms.
Well, also, and I have my 5-year-old here, so I'm going to be kind of beating around the bush. Yeah, so you hit on it, I think, with the whole phallic symbolism of the broom. You know, that the witches don't need men because, you know, they're witches.
Okay.
They're part of why they're scary to men.
Because, I mean, flying carpets, right? Flying carpets, like, somehow make more sense to me.
Well, obviously, there are flying carpets. I think maybe it has some kind of association with just the fact that witches are are women, and brooms are associated with women because of housework and various reasons.
Could be multiple things going on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So going back to bats, I have a friend in Australia who's a noted bat rescuer and does a whole bunch of rescuing of bats. And so he's always got his rabies shots up to date. And he has a room full of little mini tents to shelter the little bats in. And he's been doing this for decades now. Den Winton is down there, and he's, I think his online moniker is still Batty Den, but it's just like his grand passion is rescuing bats and making sure they're okay. So
wow,
it's kind of an interesting thing that people can end up with amazing avocations. And I think that his fondness for bats definitely cemented my affection and lack of existential or visceral terror of bats that I'm supposed to have as a properly paid up dues paying member of a North American Western bee.
Well, there's for linguistic reasons, it's good luck in China, right? Because it's got a homonym with a positive word, the name for bat.
I that is a hole in my Chinese knowledge, so I'll have to look that up because that sounds plausible. For me as a child, and I don't know how literal or true it is for native speakers of Japanese in Japan, but as a child, the Japanese word for bat, which is komori, sounded to me like child minding. So I had very positive associations with bats as a child, just on my own sort of hedge linguistics. So I think I sort of imagined some kind of Stella Luna protective bat child deity. I don't know.
That's great, though.
It wasn't very coherent in my child mind.
If you can keep the mosquitoes away from the kid, you've got a good start.
That might have been it. Anything that eats mosquitoes, as I said, is my friend. As long as it doesn't also try to eat me.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I don't think...
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
I don't know of any mosquitovores that are also humanvores, so I think I'm safe.
So according to luckfactory.com, the Chinese fu sounds like the name for bat, which fu meaning good.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Sure. East Asians really love anything that sounds like something else must surely be mystically related. So
they're like rabbis that way.
We eat wheat gluten little puffs because it has the same sound and it's supposed to bring us luck. So.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, there is.
Yeah, there's a whole episode to be done about lucky food.
Yeah, I think there should be actually. Even luck, just a whole episode on luck, right? Like all the flying aces and their various luck things.
Yeah.
Oh, we did. I think we did one on luck, but I don't think we did one specifically about like what are like a survey of lucky talismans.
Yeah, lucky talismans might be an interesting topic.
Sure. The dice hanging in the Millennium Falcon.
For example.
I just want to do one on actual world building and like controlling the gravity and the heat and the distance from the sun and seasons and other things on planets.
So,
but we need to find somebody else who can talk about it because I can only sort of kind of vaguely, roughly, not very well.
Yeah, let me see if I can find somebody who would like to come and talk about that. I know.
Exciting.
I know G. David Nordley is very, very good at that. And he has given presentations before, so maybe I should see if I can get him to come.
That would be fun.
Let's talk about drones as long as we're talking about flying things that don't live.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's talk about how, like, drones, we're at the cusp of a cultural shift, as long as everything doesn't explode into horror and flames, of a culture where it's possible that drones are going to change the way we look at things as much as mobile phone devices have changed the way we look at things, because our stories have changed now that everybody has their own little pocket. And now that you can sort of fly around and make cameras fly around, that Amazon's where they're going to deliver things by drone, I think that maybe between that and self-propelled cars, that our children really don't recognize the world we live in, even further than, hey, look, there's the 3D printed Save logo.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Maybe Cliff or somebody else has ideas about how that would change things.
Well, why don't we ask my kid? Hey, what do you think about self-driving cars and drones that fly on there? You don't know about drones. Okay. You don't know about drones. What about self-driving cars? There you go. They're cool. According to my kindergartner. At least one of them.
I think your kindergartner is going to accept self-driving cars in a way that the rest of us who grew up only with are not, because I am discomfited.
Well, my kindergartners and my youngest have all been driven around their whole lives, so they're not used to driving.
What's the difference between a Google-driven car and a daddy-driven car?
Yeah, the Google-driven car is safer, basically.
Yeah,
theoretically.
Yeah, theoretically.
But the daddy-driven car is much more motivated to be.
Well, you know, it makes me think of that thing they had where they took a self-driving car and they made like a dotted line around it, and they kept it in the witching circle because it wouldn't cross the line.
Well, I'm wondering what sort of anti-drone measures we're going to start taking.
Yeah. Well, you know,
I suspect that.
Sorry.
Where I was going was that right now we rely on things beyond upper stories to believe that people aren't going to look in unless you can see your neighbors also at a height to look in.
Yeah.
And which is why ladders and work a little freaky. But I think that we might start doing things to polarize windows or other things in recognition that we can no longer rely on just security by altitude.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Yeah, that's why, like, it's always like the creeper character is the one with the telescope in the urban environment, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I was going to say eagles are the best anti-drone device.
Well, they are. So this is, I think, really interesting because we're already seeing anti-drone measures being taken because the drones cause enormous problems for firefighters.
Yeah.
And so you get, they now have eagles.
Everyone will just have eagles
who have been trained to take down drones out of the sky, which is kind of awesome.
Wait, no, I get it. I have a 24-hour drone protection system which relies on like birds during the day and bats at night, and it'll be mosquito and drone taking protective.
So it's the bat and bird protection system by Cat?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes. I'm not sure this is going into a story of mine, but it might go into the ongoing mythology of the Catverse wackiness that shows up in the Dive into Worldbuilding podcast or webcast.
There we go. So we're getting close to 5 o'clock. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say thank you to you all for being here. Next week.
Can I just mention from Kat real quick?
The 23rd. And Ann Leckie is going to be on the show.
Oh, right. Yay!
So,
Cliff had a thing to say.
And so we're going to have a lot of fun with that. And hopefully I will be able to catch up with some of my homework, my reports before that happens. Because I'm going to definitely want to make sure I'm taking notes and getting a report down for Anne. So thank you to you all for being here. I will stop the broadcast. I have one more thing.
I had one more thing I wanted to add that Kat reminded me of. Ursula K. Le Guin's Cat Wing books. which have flying.
Oh yeah.
Wings.
Okay.
And they have like the dove wings, right? Because they're good guys.
Right.
Hawkman.
Yeah, I did mention the Hawkman. She mentioned the Hawk. She's been watching Flash Gordon.
Awesome. Hawkman. All right, I'm going to stop the broadcast. Thank you all.